Tonight on Joy News Prime, Government says mass evacuation of Ghanaian students caught up in the lockdown in China over the coronavirus outbreak is not advisable.
And restrict movement to the country from China solely to essential trips, and then also vice versa. So movement for now to and from the affected area should be informed by the essence of what is being done.
Dr. Nurses is cautioning the lives of thousands of patients are at risk because nurses and nurses are overstepping their bounds in the administration of anesthesia.
A lot of the private facilities within this country do not have doctor anesthetists. It is nurses who are delivering these anesthetic services. Please ask if the surgery is complex. Please demand that you have a doctor anesthetist.
Donations pouring for the 5-year-old who was born without one leg, including the widow's mite of another 5-year-old who gave up her savings towards her 6th birthday.
I want to give you money so that you walk like how the way I'm walking.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
We'll hear the full story in a bit in business.
Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana cautions against ban of importation of overage and salvage vehicles.
They will get enough peace to rest. We will fight to the end.
And Sandra will be here with more from the president of the association shortly in business. I'm Israel Lion. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Coco Milimili here in Accra with digital address GA 0992539, where we're celebrating 25 years of impactful broadcasting. Stay tuned in. A global fundraising campaign has been initiated to charter an aircraft to airlift Ghanaian students stranded in the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, now renamed COVID-19. Nearly 200 Ghanaian students are in Wuhan, the capital of the central Chinese province, under lockdown. Nearly 1,400 people have died so far, with almost 60,000 infections, mainly in Hubei province. The government says calls by Ghanaian students there to be evacuated cannot be honored. We'll bring you details of that statement shortly. First, though, this update from Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bedu Sarkodie.
And these facilities at Ridge, at Tema, for now are ready to handle any confirmed case within the country. And as much as possible, all the teaching hospitals, all the regional hospitals, and then other big hospitals in the country have the capacity to handle case. We've inspected such facilities, and some of them are in preparation, but then Tema and Ridge are ready, and then others are also beefing up their capacity. Risk communication, social mobilization, this is part of what we are doing. The lead of the risk communication has updated the national plan for risk communication, and this is being rolled out. Logistics and finance is very key. The initial budget for this is up to 35 million Ghana cedis using the above pillars. The Excellency has given 2.5 million cedis as a starter pack to start activities, fund the urgent activities that we are doing, and then subsequently, as we report and request for more, this will be added. We are also in touch with the partners to see how they will partner with the government of Ghana to provide more support if need be, either technical, cash, or kind. Coordination, you mentioned all these things, the National Technical Coordination Committee, regions and districts. I think all these are being done importantly, and let's be sent. We've met the various key partners and stakeholders. The Minister of Health, I'm aware, has met the key stakeholders together with the Director General, the various CEOs of the teaching hospitals, the regional directors, and then the private providers, their leadership, Dr. Morrison, the CHAG. So all those people whose activity are very relevant for this, the management of this outbreak, have been engaged. And then the engagement is ongoing. We continue to dialogue and discuss with them to step up all that we would observe and then subsequent things that we have we need to do. The private sector, National Ambulance Service, Noguchi, KCCR, and all these groups have been met. The Kutuka International Airport, TEMA, and other seaports, other points of entry leadership. As we speak now, there's training and orientation going on for all the port health staff here in Accra, and it's up to tomorrow. And so this capacity, we will not say that the capacity is optimal for now. We are doing best. At the moment, whatever you do and where you need to step up, we move and step up appropriately.
Now, in a statement, Health Minister Kwaku Agyeman-Manu explains all the experts they've engaged have advised against mass evacuation. Let me share that statement with you right away. The Ministry of Health once again wishes to brief the general public and provide updates in respect to developments on the novel coronavirus infection as promised in the last press release. We further wish to reassure the nation that our preparations in terms of emergency preparedness, response and surveillance have been heightened and proving to be effective and efficient. As a country, we have encountered 15 suspected cases as of today. Samples have been taken from all of them and sent to the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research for tests, and results have been negative. Key stakeholder engagements have been extensive, and we have met all regional directors of health services, chief executive officers of the teaching hospitals, and reviewed their preparedness for emergency response following our alert to them, and the ministry is satisfied with preparations made across the region so far. Disease surveillance within the country and at the point of entry has been heightened as we work in collaboration with the Ghana Immigration Service and other port authorities. Our prevention and control mechanisms cut across strengthening surveillance internally and at point of entry, case management, risk communication and social mobilization, coordination, laboratory testing and logistics support. And it goes on that we are in constant engagement with Ghana's ambassador in China as well as the Chinese authorities through the ambassador in Ghana. Information reaching us indicates that so far not a single Ghanaian in China or elsewhere on the globe has been affected. We once again wish to reassure Ghanaians, especially parents and relatives of Ghanaians and in particular Ghanaians in Wuhan City and entire Hubei province, that our citizens are in good hands and are being taken care of. The Ghana Embassy in China is in constant engagement with them and have been constantly updating as of events. We're working in collaboration with the World Health Organization, West Africa Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control, and other development partners discussing and reviewing our strategies day by day. So far, all advice through consultations and engagements is not encouraging us to undertake mass evacuation as yet because of the following, and it lists a number of reasons. But then let's continue and get on to find out what this technical advice is. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje, explains.
Well, I mean, in all such outbreaks, what you do is to prevent spread. And as long as there are systems in place that has been able to keep people from getting infected for the last few months, one can say that these are adequate systems, especially if you look at the high transmission rates of that virus. And that's why we feel that so far no student has been reported to have contracted the virus, despite the fact that they are in the epicenter, which means that whatever systems are in place seem to be working. And that's why we continue monitoring to see if the risk increases, then we will advise otherwise. But on as technical people, we will not think that we will need to do that. And probably the movement will not even be maybe more hazardous than the situation that they are in now. So that's our advice. Well, I believe that the information we have is that Ambassador is in touch with them. Our minister has spoken to a couple of students, and there are health workers whose children are there. So we are in touch with them, and we don't think that the situation is such crucial that the risk profile is higher. But we believe that as the condition peaks and declines, the risk will even probably come lower, and so there's no need to look at that.
The students themselves are saying this morning that they are in in locked up areas. They cannot go out to get food, water, and other things. Does this call for this evacuation? Because they seem not to agree with your decision to keep them there.
Those are protocols that we need to verify with the ambassador and probably to see what is it that it's a lockdown, and the lockdown is that you're not going out. There are even in families where only one person is allowed to go out at the same time, and so these are all systems put in place to prevent you from people gathering and transmitting the condition, and that's why we kept saying that we'll look at what are the support system they are having within that condition. But under such conditions, the same way we quarantine them when they come here. So I'm sure it's the same situation that they are in. If they come for the next 14 days, they are still going to be in similar conditions. So what we need to know is that, are they getting water? Are they being fed? Are they getting the social service that they need?
In a related development, Parliament's Health Committee has backed the decision by the Ministry of Health not to evacuate Ghanaian residents in Wuhan over the coronavirus situation. At a meeting between the Ghana Health Service and the committee this afternoon, the health professionals defended the decision not to evacuate. The minority in Parliament has given government till Friday to bring back Ghanaians there or face their wrath. The chairman of the Health Committee, Dr. Kwabena Chum-Nuema, tells Joy News the committee members, including minority members, were convinced by the health professionals that there is no need to evacuate.
I had an interest in the issue of the hotel in question. So I attended the meeting.
Committee met officers of the Ministry of Health, led by the Director General of Ghana Health Service and the Director of Public Health, to brief us on our preparedness against this coronavirus pandemic. And what dominated the discussions, obviously, was the need whether to evacuate or not to evacuate our compatriots in China. What we got from the ministry is that they are always assessing the risks between evacuating them from China and also keeping them in China. And the decision they have taken so far is that as of now, they are not going to evacuate them, but they are still assessing the situation. Even though they are not coming, they've already prepared a place to keep them the moment there's an evacuation. The moment they get the signal that assessing the risks, it is better to evacuate them from China, they will do so. They assured us that when that signal comes, they can do the evacuation in 48 hours, because they are really well prepared. And in addition to that, they are in constant touch with the citizens. Most of them are students. They have a 2-day video conference call with them. And so they are supporting them with logistics.
Meanwhile, the Infectious Disease Center at the Tema General Hospital says it is ready to handle any case of the deadly coronavirus, now known as COVID-19. One of at least 2 facilities designated by the Ministry of Health to handle suspected cases. The center has 12 beds and 42 medical professionals with special training on standby. Medical Director Dr. Richard Anthony conducted Joy News around the facility. Matilda Gavi of our health desk has more.
The Infectious Disease Center, located on the premises of the Tema General Hospital, was initially built to handle Ebola cases following the outbreak in 2014. It will serve as a holding bay and treatment center. It has a nurses unit, changing rooms, washrooms, personal protective equipment room, and a few offices. Though it currently has 12 beds, officials say it could be expanded. Medical Director of the Tema General Hospital, Dr. Richard Anthony, says frontline health workers have been given training on identifying cases and how to handle them.
I have a screening process. Those with cough and other symptoms similar to, which may not necessarily be coronavirus, are screened and separated. But should we have a strong suspected case, the patient will be moved straight from the outpatient to the facility which has been earmarked for isolation or quarantine, which we have. So the staff for the management of these cases already been sensitized, and we have the list ready should there be a case.
He explains the 42 health professionals will be running 3 different shifts should a case be identified.
When there is a case of that nature, because it's a shift and one cannot stay in there for a very long time, at least you need not less than 3 shifts. And looking at 1 shift alone for a day, going through the 3 shifts, we need not less than 42 different categories of staff, which we have. So the staff for the management of these cases already been sensitized, and we have the list ready should there be a case. We have PPEs, that's the personal protective equipment. There is a dedicated team which is made up of a mix of health staff, ranging from nurses, doctors, pharmacists, administrators, even orderlies, which are part of this emergency response team, which has been put in place in readiness for this coronavirus, or we don't know what will come up even tomorrow. So it's an ongoing process. And in terms of logistics, we've been promised that should there be need to increase the number of PPEs that we have, central government and Ghana Health Service is ready to do that.
For now, he says they remain on high alert should a case be confirmed. For Joy News, Matilda Gavi, Tema.
We're taking a break here on Joy News. But still ahead in the bulletin, Dr. Anesthesis is cautioning the lives of thousands of patients are at risk because nurse anesthetists are overstepping their bounds in the administration of anesthesia.
A lot of the private facilities within this country do not have doctor anesthetists. It is nurses who are delivering these anesthetic services. Please ask if the surgery is complex. Please demand that you have a doctor anesthetist.
And then we have some donations coming in for the 5-year-old who was born without one leg, including the widow's mite of another 5-year-old who gave up her savings towards her 6th birthday.
I want to give you money so that you walk like how the way I'm walking.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
We have the full story coming up right after this break. Stay tuned. Now, an appeal for funds to help 5-year-old Princess Dede Duku get a prosthetic leg is yielding some positive results. Princess has had to hop on her left leg since she could walk after she was born with only her right leg. The left leg is, however, now bucking from the pressure of holding up the entire body so much that it is beginning to give way and would necessarily have to be saved. At least 2 organizations have offered to help Princess since the story was aired Wednesday night. The Brother Tarsicius Prosthetics and Orthotics Training College at Insawam says it will design a new leg for Princess, while the Salvation Army Community-Based Rehabilitation Center at Agona Duakwa in the Central Region will be taking care of her education and support for her mother. We've also had some persons calling in to donate. Amongst them, another 5-year-old who is giving up her savings towards her 6th birthday in November so Princess can also walk like her. I saw the message her mother sent me on Facebook on Thursday morning, and I'd like to share it with you. She goes, "Hello Israel. We, family of 3, are fans of Joy Prime News because we always love to listen to you. This evening, your news item about the little girl with a deformed limb got my 5-year-old daughter very teary, and she felt so sad about the little girl's condition. She requested we should give the girl's mom her little Susu that she's been saving towards her 6th birthday, which will come off in November this year, to the little girl for doctors to correct her deformed limb for her. It's just 42 cedis, but I can top it up for her to round it to 100 cedis. I'm really touched by her kind gesture, and I don't want to discourage her. and then she adds her number. And then she said, you can get in touch so that we can help with the little that we have. And she concludes by saying, thanks and God bless anyone that will heed to the plight of this little girl. And on screen, a short while ago, was the photo she sent me in my inbox telling me that this is the little girl's money. Now, Joy News' MFA Etiamwa Eli caught up with Delaidem Fiagbe right after she closed from school today to understand the motivation for her gesture.
I was in my room and I was eating.
Okay, so when you first saw the story, how did you feel?
I will feel bad.
Okay, what would the money do for Princess?
So the princess will work like me.
Okay, tell me, where do you get the money from for your savings every day?
My mother and my father and my auntie.
Okay. Now you have given everything to Princess, meaning you don't have money in your piggy box for your 6th birthday. What will happen now? Where will you get the money for your 6th birthday?
My mother and my auntie and my father.
Okay. If you see Princess walking today, how would you feel?
I'll feel very happy.
We also spoke with the mother, Magdalene Agbavito.
Actually, we were taking our dinner when we saw the news. Actually, we were watching the news when we saw the story. So all of a sudden, even by then she scooped the food into her mouth and she's just paused. Okay. Oh, Mommy, what's wrong with the girl? Okay. And I said that's how she was born. The mother wants money to send it to us, so that you correct it. And she was like, oh, so does it mean if they don't do it, she will continue working like that? And I said, yes. Mommy, you see that my Susu money, I'll give it to Princess. And I said, oh, really? Yes. Would that do what the doctors want to? Then I said, yes, it will be enough for it.
As a mother, how did you feel when she mentioned that that's my Susu money, let's give it to Princess? How did you feel?
In fact, she herself was very teary and very sad when she said it. So I also became very sad at that moment. But I felt happy. She has seen
couple like this.
Yeah, this is the very first time she has the feeling for someone. She has felt the pain of someone to the extent that she wants to empty her Susu box for the little girl.
MFA Etiamwa Eli called her Princess so she could speak with the Daidem. Listen to their conversation.
Princess.
Hello.
You talk, she will hear.
Hello.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. I want to give you money so that you work like how the way I'm working.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
All right, we're taking a break here to bring you business, but still ahead in the bulletin. Dr. Anesthetists caution the lives of thousands of patients are at risk because nurse anesthetists are overstepping their bounds in the administration of anesthesia.
A lot of the private facilities within this country do not have doctor anesthetists. It is nurses who are delivering these anesthetic services. Please ask, if the surgery is complex, please demand that you have a doctor anesthetist.
Right time for business, and Sandra is here. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Israel. How many people can afford brand new cars? And is your car a brand new one?
No, my car is not a brand new one.
So the conversation as to whether we should ban overage vehicles and then also salvage cars.
There's a difference between a used vehicle and then an overaged vehicle. So I don't use an overaged vehicle.
But you have a salvage car?
No.
Okay, a used car, second hand?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you more in business. Celebrating 25 years of joy. My name is Sandra Esina Mafeno, and as always, I'm here for business. The Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana has cautioned governments against plans to ban the importation of overaged and salvaged vehicles. Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu recently announced a proposal to pass a bill that bans the importation of these cars to help reduce accidents as well as protect assembly cooling plants expected in the country soon. Responding to this announcement, President of the Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana, Eric Kweku Boateng, says the ban will contravene sections of the automobile policy, which gives room for importation of such vehicles.
We are not going to sit down and fold our arms. Should come and collapse our business. So what we know is car from 1 year to 10 years can import. And then the salvage, a car which is maybe slight accidental. If I can't say it's accidental, it's a slight use or slight slash. You can, the person can buy if it's bumper, if it's bonnet, if it's whatever, and the person decides to buy those things, it's allowed. But if you say they are going to ban second-hand vehicles, what do you mean? So on Monday, we are going to have a press conference to tell Honorable Chairman that it should come back again. Let the public understand that it's not that they are going to ban second-hand vehicles, but a car from 11 years, over age cars, is going to ban. Demonstration, no. The country, I don't think they will get enough peace to rest. We'll fight to the end. So I don't think we will get there, because I'm part of the committee. Then if it's done, then they didn't regard the committee as we, the second-hand dealers, we represented. That is not what we agreed on. But what we agreed is that car from 1 year, 10 years can import. But now you are coming to tell us they are going to ban those cars. No. They should come again. And I don't think Parliament will sit on it, that they are going to ban second-hand vehicles. No. We are not going to sit down for them to dictate to us. The next step we are going to take, maybe from Monday, is that we want our brother, our senior officer, which is Honorable Chairman Sir, to do is that he should come out and apologize on what, because the documents which has been published to the public, it states that car from 1 to 10 years is not a ban. That is what we want to hear from him. He should come out and explain it well. But from 11 years upwards, we accept that. And then after the press conference, we express ourselves to the Ghanaians what the automobile dealers is coming to do to help the automobile industry.
Away from that, Ghana's largest cocoa processing firm, the Cocoa Processing Company, is to increase its output capacity following the receipt of a $70 million Afro-Exim financial support. According to the managing director of the Cocoa Processing Company, Nana Ejenim Boateng, the company will eventually hit 81,000 ton capacity up from the current 64,500 tons. Sheila Tamaklo has more in the following report.
The Cocoa Processing Company comprises of two main lines of activities: the Cocoa Processing Factory, which processes raw cocoa beans into semi-finished products, and the Confectionery Factory, which manufactures finished products such as chocolate bars, chocolate spread, and cocoa beverages. Together, the factories have an annual throughput of about 65,000 metric tons of premium cocoa beans. According to the managing director of the company, Nana Ejenim Boateng, the outfit is looking forward to increasing its current capacity to 81,000 tons following a 70 million Afro-Exim loan facility.
So now the Afro-Exim level is in the due diligence process. We've gone far, cleared everything. Now we are doing the machinery and the legal levels. From that level, when it's cleared, that's where then the disbursements come in. So I can say that all in all, latest, if not by March and then first week April, was started. And what is going to happen is that we will be using these funds on CAPEX to retool some of the old and obsolete machinery during the Kwame Nkrumah time, then also expand. So the current capacity of 64,500 will increase to 81,000. We also want to increase the confectionery from 3,000 to 15,000 because Ghanaians have accepted the market, and also we are having some contrast from outside which would necessitate that we need to do an expansion.
Nana Janine Boateng also added the company will expand its presence globally with an increase in exports, with China as a key target.
Your product matches the international. It is within the certified certificates. That means Ghana is the winner. And here also, we envision to what is coming. Have got all levels of the certificates, so that be it to the Arab country or to any place, you have the halal certificate, you have anything, with the ISO and everything. Now we're looking for that last leg of the certificate, which is the HACCP. So when you get it there, it means that you can get all your products to the whole world. So this is also where, coming into effect of this thing in July, we are preparing ourselves for it. So that, but for now, our limit is now with China for now, which we can say we have a proper and real contract with the support of the minister and the ambassador to China.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
In other news tonight, the introduction of improved security features into administration of DV number plates is set to generate some 6 million Ghana cedis in 1 month. I have details plus many more coming up in the business news summaries.
The introduction of improved security features into the administration of the defective vehicle DV number plate system by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority DVLA this year has led to a significant improvement in the revenue performance of the authority, according to a report by Daily Graphic. Whereas the DVLA generated less than 4 million Ghana cedis from the sale of 15,544 DV plates for the whole of last year, it generated 6 million Ghana cedis from selling 25,000 upgraded DV plates between January 2 and February 7 this year, representing an increase of more than 60% over the 2019 collection. Graphic Business reports there are plans to transform the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, NBSSI, into a bigger entity to be known as Enterprise Ghana Authority. This will make the new entity to become more impactful by helping micro, small and medium enterprises into stronger businesses that create more jobs. The government has ring-fenced funds earmarked to support the conduct of the 2020 Population and Housing Census (PHC), according to the Ghana Statistical Service. This means that funds needed to carry out the planned activity would be available and delivered on time, and the anticipated hold-up due to financial challenges would not be encountered this year.
That's all for now, but don't worry at all. I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business news. My name is Sandra Esinamapeno.
Ashanti Region Police Public Relations Officer ASP Godwin Ahianyo is committing to promote strict enforcement of wearing of seatbelts as he joins Multimedia Group's Arrive Alive campaign. He has been recounting how he and other personnel survived what he describes as a scary accident only because we're wearing seatbelts. They were traveling on the Cape Coast Kumasi Highway when their pickup vehicle somersaulted several times after an abandoned trampoline covered the windscreen. Let's first listen to how the seatbelt saved the life of ASP Ahianyo and his colleagues.
When I was returning from Cape Coast for an assignment, in the evening around 8:30, my driver was then driving. We had then got into Bojawe between Bekwai and Domboase. Then we saw a tarpaulin. We saw an image in the middle of the road. We didn't know what it was. Then there was an oncoming vehicle. Later I was told it was a Metro Mass Transit vehicle approaching us. The next thing we saw was that something had covered the windscreen of our vehicle, the pickup in which we were. So the driver lost control. It tossed him on 3 or so occasions before we ended up in a ditch. Luckily for us, we were in our seatbelt. So other road users, drivers and passengers rushed to our rescue and then brought us from the vehicle. So later on, I saw that the vehicle had somersaulted with all the 4 tires showing up and then the roof of the vehicle on the ground. So we asked what had happened, and other passengers were telling us we had somersaulted, and they came to our rescue. It was later that somebody mentioned that it was the tarpaulin that the bus blew, the wind, the speed of the bus blew the tarpaulin, and then it came and then covered our windscreen. My brother, I would say the seat belt actually saved us.
Yes, we are here has offered to join the Arrival Live Road Safety Campaign by the Multimedia Group by becoming a seatbelt ambassador.
It's the grace of God, and also the seatbelt in which we were in, because if you had not been the seatbelt, something maybe serious might have happened. And I was actually traumatized. We were three in the vehicle, myself, the driver, and then a colleague in the office. We were traumatized because we've never seen it before. We've heard of accident and vehicle somersaulting, but it's just the intervention of the God that we came out alive, and also the seatbelt. So I am just saying that the wearing of the seatbelt should be something that everybody should take serious. If you are traveling, even if you are traveling in town, not on the highways, it could be even within town. I will advise that everybody should be in the seatbelt, because the seatbelt actually saved us from this terrible accident.
It appears you have now become an advocate of the wearing of seatbelts.
Oh yes, I am now an advocate, because anyone that I narrate the incident to, I tell the person that I would want to be an ambassador or an advocate for the wearing of seatbelt, because if you are not being the seatbelt, and I also said I will impress upon the authorities, the appropriate authorities, to enforce the wearing of seatbelt, even in commercial vehicles like the trotros and other passenger buses, where all passengers will be compelled to put on. So if the failure in doing that, you should be fined.
Now, the next story is about anesthesia, a medical discipline specializing in putting patients to sleep during surgery and giving pain relief. A section of those who practice the discipline in Ghana, certified registered anesthetists or nurses who are trained to administer anesthesia, last week embarked on a strike which turned out to be short-lived. Medical doctors who have also specialized in anesthesia are, however, raising serious concerns they say are the heart of the strike of their colleagues, which, if not addressed, will continue to cost precious lives. In the following interview, Dr. Robert Jagblete, consultant anesthetist at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital and lecturer at the University of Ghana Medical School, explains attempts to blur the line between doctor anesthetists and nurse anesthetists is a terrible idea that could prove very tragic because of the vast difference between the two.
Anesthesia is a medical profession. It's an aspect of medicine, and it is doctors who should deliver these service. However, as we all know, like all other aspects of medicine, we don't have enough doctors to cover the whole country. You can talk about psychiatry, you can talk about ophthalmology, you can talk about ENT, all these other specialties, because of inadequate numbers, train other healthcare providers to be able to provide some limited service, some basic, simple, uncomplicated services. In anesthesia, it has also been so. We trained nurses to be able to deliver anesthesia for simple cases. They are also taught to know, to be able to identify the complicated cases and be able to refer these complicated cases to doctors in higher institutions. So if we don't make this distinction and we don't let the nurse practitioners know their limitations, it brings a lot of problems. And we are seeing these problems in this country, that nurse practitioners want to be on their own, independent, not supervised, not being regulated, not knowing their limits. They pick on cases that are complex, that are supposed to be handled by doctors. They try to manage these patients, and of course, they usually cause more harm than good.
You say they cause more harm than good, but it's a medical profession and things go wrong. I mean, even doctors are known to have, committed errors in their line of work.
Yes, humans are fallible. Errors do occur. But where errors are avoidable, then there is an issue. Even when doctors do commit avoidable errors, they are held accountable. And we are all held accountable. So we feel that some of these errors are avoidable. Avoidable in the sense that there are cases that are complex beyond your scope of practice, beyond the skills that you have. And the best way to handle it is to either refer or seek the opinion of a doctor before handling these cases. This is where the real crunch is. They don't want to have any supervision at all, whether close supervision or remote supervision.
Why do they need a physician to guide them through the process? Because they are also trained in anesthesia, and you're also trained in anesthesia. What's the difference?
Okay, so our training starts way back from medical school. We have, all the medical schools in this country have at least 4 weeks of anesthesia during their medical school training.
So the doctors go through?
The doctors go through at least 4 weeks of anesthesia, being given lectures to have the knowledge and being exposed to some of the skills that they may need to acquire right back in medical school.
So essentially any qualified doctor or any doctor who comes out of the medical school has some knowledge of anesthesia?
Absolutely. Any doctor who comes out has some knowledge of anesthesia. I don't know about the nurses. I sit in Kolebu. We are the training institution. There are nurse training centers around. Nobody comes, no nurse passes through the Department of Anesthesia for any rotation. So they are not exposed to anesthesia during their nurse training. When we qualify, the doctors...
So after you've had the 4 weeks?
Yes, after you have the 4 weeks, you then qualify as you do all other rotations, you qualify as a doctor. Now you need to do 2 years of what you call house job, learning to now complement the knowledge that you have acquired in medical schools and then enhance your skills. It is only after that 2 years that you can practice independently as a medical doctor. Then you become a medical officer. It is at that point that you can enroll into postgraduate medical training to go into any specialty that you wish. So if they choose anesthesia, then you can come into postgraduate medical training in anesthesia. And there are different levels, about 3 categories. You can come in for a diploma, which is a 1.5-year course, or you can come in for a membership program, which is a 3-year course. There's a third structure, which is the fellowship. And that one, you should have completed your 3 years of membership, and then you can come in for an additional 2 years. So the membership then gives you the qualification as a specialist anesthetist, and when you complete the fellowship education or training, then you become a senior specialist or consultant.
So, but are you saying that the nurses who train to be anesthetists don't get this kind of training?
So their training is they complete their nursing training, their basic nursing training, 4 years degree. They complete that training, and then I understand they are supposed to do 3 years of practice before they can go for any further post-qualification training. And for now, they used to have a high national diploma, which was a 1.5-year program, but now has been upgraded to a degree, which is a 2-year program. So they finish their basic nursing training, and then they go for a maximum of a 2-year training. So you can't just compare somebody who is a nurse and has 2-year training in anesthesia to someone who has had 7 years of training as a medical doctor and has other years of training in anesthesia, with the anesthesia training being begun way back in medical school.
What is it that you, the physician anesthetist, can do that the nurse anesthetist can't do?
Okay, there are several. So, as I said, we train them to do the simple cases. Patient who comes in without a lot of medical conditions. Maybe they may have a hypertension, but it is controlled. May have diabetes, is controlled, asthma controlled. Yes, they can handle those cases. Even that with medical condition, they need to have a doctor tell them that these conditions are well controlled before they can go ahead. So they can handle most of these simple cases. Appendix, hernias, cesarean sections, if there is trauma, somebody has broken the leg. Yes, these are cases that they can handle. However, if you are going to go into somebody's brain, there is a tumor in somebody's brain, and you need to put this patient to sleep and go and take out the tumor in somebody's brain, they can't do it. If you are going to stop somebody's heart and open and work on the patient's heart, this is not what they can do. There are more complex things in ICU. I know they will say that they work in critical care units, but the fact that you can intubate a patient in critical care unit does not mean that you are the one managing it.
I want you to give us a typical example of a surgery that you are having to perform, provide anesthesia for, and how complicated this can get, and why you don't think that the nurse anesthetists have what it takes to manage a situation like that.
Okay, so when see a patient coming in with a very there's a certain part of your body, there's a gland, the adrenal glands. There are some small glands sitting on top of your kidneys, but they produce certain chemicals. Catecholamines can increase your blood pressure, and sometimes a tumor, let's say a cancer, that is what people will understand, can go within this gland. When it happens, they secrete a lot of these chemicals, adrenaline, that will cause your blood pressure to shoot through the roof. When you are going to do a surgery to take this tumor, even touching, when the surgeons open, the surgeons don't have a problem. You will put the patient to sleep, all right. When you open up, the anesthetist will put the patient to sleep. One, I will tell you that in trying to put the patient to sleep, you must choose the type of drugs that you are going to use well, because there are some of the drugs that when you give it to allow some of these chemicals to be released, and then the blood pressure can shoot up. The person can have a stroke under anesthesia. The person can have a heart attack under anesthesia. But these are patients who are asleep. So it's not going to tell you that I feel weakness on one side of my body or I feel a chest pain. You will only see that after the surgery has ended that this patient cannot wake up. So the choice of drugs is one bit. How you even intubate them, put the tube. Those who are nurses, they know when you put the tube down, the blood pressure goes up. Imagine in this patient who has all these chemicals going and the blood pressure is already up. If you don't use certain techniques and you put down the tube, just by the act that you are intubating, the blood pressure can shoot and all these complications can manifest, even by you trying to make the patient fall asleep. Before even the surgeon starts the procedure, once the knife hits the skin, that process of cutting, the trauma, also causes some of these chemicals to go up. And this is where there's a tumor. The chemicals can go way up, your blood pressure go way up, and you can have problem. When the surgeon actually gets to the tumor and you start handling it, then it's worst of all. So it is not an easy surgery. For this surgery to go in, most of the times we measure their how the electrical activity of the heart, we measure their blood pressure, measure how much oxygen is getting to the blood. The blood pressure we measure by putting a cuff, what we normally use. But for this type of surgery, because these chemicals are being produced and they can be produced and they act very quickly and rapidly, you must have what you call a beat-to-beat observation of the blood pressure. You must know the physiology that these things can happen. When I start, blood pressure will go up. I should bring it down. I should avoid sending it too high. When the surgeon is doing, you are following exactly what they are doing. Immediately they finish, you know it will come down. Then you start giving drugs that will push the blood pressure up. It affects how the sugar is being handled in the body. You should follow their blood sugar levels post-operatively. So it is not simple. All these things are linked in a complex network. So these are cases that nurses cannot handle. Even we anesthesiologists, when we are doing these cases, we do it in consultation with endocrinologists because it has to do with hormones. So we call them. Sometimes they come into surgery. Sometimes if the patient, some of these, they may be having high blood pressures, their hearts are affected. We call the cardiologist to come into theater. So nobody can say I work alone in medicine. We need everybody. So for them to be able to put somebody to sleep and wake them up and they feel they are God, it is not so. They need to know that it is more complex. They are dealing with human lives. They should respect the nature of human life. It is sacrosanct. When it is taken, it cannot be replaced. And we plead to the powers that be to let them know that there are more complex things. We've just exposed them to the surface a little, and they are gloating and moving about as if they know it all. They don't know it all. I am a consultant anesthetist. I have over 15 years of experience in anesthesia. There are some of the cases, if I am going to do, I consult.
Doc, what's your greatest fear if these issues are not brought to the fore and handled comprehensively?
Yes, it is patient safety. My only passion is that the ordinary Ghanaian, when you go to have any surgery, will be able to get the best of care and know that I'm going to have this surgery. Whoever is going to provide my anesthesia will give me the best of care and will not make me worse off.
Is that not the case now?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, our nurse practitioners are overstepping their boundaries. We think that it is time for those in charge of this to take hold of matters. Let the right things to be done. The nurses must be, we need them. They have a role to play in the health delivery system. In a hospital, you need nurses, you need doctors, you need pharmacists, you need biochemists, even the cleaners. If a blood spills and nobody cleans it, it is a problem. Everybody is needed, but everybody must know his or her role. And if we all fall in our roles and we work together in the interest of the patient, Ghana will be better off. That is our passion. A lot of the private facilities within this country do not have doctor anesthetists. It is nurses who are delivering these anesthetic services. Please ask, if the surgery is complex, please demand that you have a doctor anesthetist.
Otherwise?
Otherwise, please talk to the surgeon who is going to have the surgery, that I have concerns about the anesthesia, who is going to deliver the anesthesia. Is it safe for me to have this surgery here?
Otherwise?
Okay, otherwise, you can't land yourself into problems. You may be fortunate if you come out with certain complications of the surgery, but it could be as bad as that you may lose your life.
All right, and joining me in the studio right now is Jacob Wumbe. He is the immediate past president of the Ghana Association of Certified Registered Anesthetists, and they are the nurse anesthetists who Dr. Robert Jaglati, as you heard him say, they're the ones who appear to be overstepping their bounds. So I'm going to put the question to you, Mr. Wumbe, straight away. Do you agree that you and your colleagues are overstepping your bounds?
I do not agree that myself and my colleagues are overstepping our bounds, because in the medical practice there is a golden rule that during the course of the work, be you whoever that you are, since you are dealing with human life, you will always discuss and work. And so there is no any issue of overstepping our bounds.
The issue that they're raising has to do with the fact that you're failing, or you're failing to consult or get supervision for the work you do.
Let me say, like he did say here, that we are a risk. I think that allegation that we are a risk is as dangerous as the coronavirus. And that is misinforming the public. That is public deceit. Elsewhere, the regulator should drag him to the council. Why am I saying this? I am saying this simply because in the field of anesthesia, it is not the qualification that you hold so much. It is about clinical competence. It is about clinical experience. And Dr. Robert will agree with me. There are many instances when you want to intubate. Intubation is simply when you put a patient under general anesthesia. It's a procedure where you will paralyze the patient's muscle and make the patient not to breathe and put a tube into the trachea, that is the windpipe. It is through this tube that the gases passes to keep the patient sleeping. Okay. Now that procedure, without it you cannot, that is number one. As a doctor, you could go to carry this procedure and fail. And a certified registered anesthetist will come and is there. As a certified registered anesthetist, you could go to perform that procedure and fail. And the doctor comes and he's able to do it. So he should stop, deceiving patients.
All right. So let's not quite confuse doctors and doctor anesthetists, because the point he's making is about doctor anesthetists, and he believes that the nurse anesthetist, in carrying out some complicated situations or medical procedures when it comes to anesthesia, they would need some consultation with the doctor anesthetist, or they will need some supervision, because it can get complicated somewhere along the line, and if you don't get that supervision, chances are the patient may lose their life.
Now, I wouldn't say that that is not true to some extent.
Okay. So you do agree that you need some supervision?
The length at which he's stretching it is dangerous. I just mentioned something like intubation. Yeah. Intubation is one of the most riskiest procedure you can ever practice in anesthesia. So, will he supervise ever intubation? Then there will be no anesthesia.
All right, so one of the questions I put to him.
So he himself needs supervision. We need supervision. What is supervision? Now, the crux of the matter here is a name that is bringing about all this issue. So let's suffice with admitting that he is right, we need supervision. For that reason, should I be called what do you call it, an assistant?
So your issue has to do with the name you're being given. Yeah. So you already, at this point, you're known as certified registered anesthetist. But what they're trying to do is to change that name to physician assistant, which you find unacceptable.
It's just unacceptable.
Why so?
Now, why so? I want the whole country to know this evening is that the certified registered anesthetist is the aborigine of anesthesia in Ghana. When I mean aborigine of anesthesia in Ghana, far back in 1945 when the training started by expatriate medical doctors, whites, not even blacks, from 1945 up to now, how many years now? They are the later day saints.
What's in the name? I'm not getting. So your issue has to do with what you're called.
Now the name. Let me be specific. If you take Kolebo, which has just about 44 doctor anesthetists, you take Rich Hospital where I work, we have 2 of them. You take Lawan, and where else? That is the whole Greater Accra, the whole 3 northern regions. There's not even 1 doctor anesthetist. Brown Hafu none, Central none, Volta none. I'm just speaking in the context of the old regions, not the system we have. I get the point. Komfonochi Asante region, if you take the teaching hospital out, there's no 1 single doctor anesthetist. And you tell us that we're a risk.
No.
Look, in the course of training, we know our limits, and we work within that limit.
Oh, so you know the limits?
No, we know the limit, and even they, the doctors, also have a limit. The fact that we are a doctor anesthetics, you still have a limit, because there are some cases the fact that we are a doctor anesthetics, you don't do it alone. I would have been happy this evening if Dr. Robert had told the whole country that the golden principle in anesthesia is that no one anesthetist manages a case. No one anesthetist. It's not done anywhere. And no doctor anesthetist in this country want to enter the theater and do a case all alone by himself. Simply because...
He's conceded.
Yes.
They work together.
No, good.
And so they're expecting that the nurse anesthetist would also subject or submit to some supervision.
Now, yes, and I'm saying that within the certified registered anesthetist, we have 5 grades. From the certified registered anesthetist to the chief. Within ourselves, there is a supervision. I work in REACH. Within my colleague, I have a senior most colleagues before me. And after me, there are a whole lot of others. I have been working as an anesthetist for almost 23 years now. I work in 6 out of the 10 regions. Are you getting the point? And so when it comes to the issue of supervision, whether you are a doctor or you are not a doctor, you need supervision. He shouldn't forget that. Right. And I'm telling you, if I'm in the same theater with him, he will realize that at certain things, he will supervise me. At certain things, I will supervise him.
Okay.
Because that's the nature of the job. If he's doing something and is going on wrong, I'll say, hey, where you are going, please. If you don't, the patient is at risk. So for the issue of supervision, they should just take it out. They should take it out because it is not possible to supervise. Because look, in anesthesia, we don't supervise in absentia. And he, the one speaking, will never agree that his wife should be operated when he is not around.
He makes reference to the fact that you can, because there's technology, phone call, you can send WhatsApp messages of
Look, in
images.
anesthesia, the time you need an assistant is a dangerous period. It's a period where the distance between life and death is like the upper teeth and the lower teeth. So when I'm in the operation room and I really need an assistant at a critical moment, is that the time I'm taking the phone to call you, but after I finish calling, the patient is dead. And that is why we said that the issue of assistance should be taken off. Look, they borrowed the name from UK. And today, as we speak, UK, they don't even use that name.
Okay. Unfortunately, we'll have to end the interview here, Mr. Wumbe. But thank you very much for coming through. Jacob Wumbe is the immediate past president of the Ghana Association of Certified Registered Anesthetists. We're taking it. Right, it's time for Joining Us Interactive, and we have one story that we're going to be sharing with you. It has to do with World Radio Day, and in that story, which we have shared on our Facebook page, journalist Adamu Muftar with the defunct Radio Gold, he breaks down while recounting how the station was shut down by the NTA. I want us to watch a bit of his story, and then we'll come and read the comments.
Few minutes after our conversation, I walked to the reception, which was empty. It was dark, hot, with dusty certificates and pictures still hanging on the wall.
Hi, what's your name?
Seated in the corner of the room is a lady who was once a news anchor, Nancy Obimpe. She holds back her smile when I asked her the whereabouts of the receptionist.
The receptionist doesn't come anymore. I'm sure you know about the closure of the station, and so she doesn't come. I should put it that way.
She took me on a tour of the virtually empty company. Many of the rooms were dark. Nancy explains that the bulbs had burnt out and are yet to be replaced. I was ushered into a huge but abandoned studio. On a round table surrounded by 5 chairs were dusty cables and defective gadgets.
This is where the allergy actually happens, but since it's no more, we move it to TV, and so it's on Pan-African TV, and so now this place, we now use it as a sitting area. Just come and sit.
Yeah.
No allergy here.
No. To this point, that Nancy became emotional. She tells me how much she misses the microphone.
What you do, what your passion is to broadcast. Now you wake up in the morning and you're sitting at home. You tune into other radio stations and you hear your colleagues doing their job. Sometimes it's so sad that I don't even listen to radio or watch TV anymore. Because I feel like, oh, that could have been me. That should have been me, you know. I mean, they've taken your, I mean, you see it as, I mean, your talent being stagnated, your passion being taken away from you. I mean, it's sad.
Right, so that's the story, and Muftar has a similar story. He says he's been trying to look for a job for some time now, but he's not been lucky so far. So we put up, this poster about 5 hours ago, and we have 221 comments and 245 shares. Let's read some of the comments. Joseph says, it is not only Radio Gold. There are so many Ghanaian companies out there that have been locked up. I was working at the dental clinic here in Accra one hot afternoon. The clinic was shut down in Rambo style. Now the nurses and doctors there are all jobless, apart from a few of them who got a different place to work. God is watching. Telly says Radio Gold has fulfilled all its obligations to this government, but still a Slowusu. All right, so I'm skipping that. Prince says, this is too much. A government looking to save you, rather pushing you into joblessness, and we think it's cool. The hands of God should be lifted. We may be under siege. God rise. And Donna says, I hope they can open up, but back, it shouldn't be fair why they shut them down in the first place. They worked hard, their career on hold, and they have family to feed. It's so sad what the staff are going through. That is what they love from their heart and putting out there to the world with love. Mohammed says, the biggest mistake Ghanaians made is voting. All right, skipping that. Yao says, emotionally disturbing as I watch this documentary. Why fellow broadcasters don't put their voice to help the station to get back on air? Life indeed isn't fair. All right, so those are some of your comments you posted on the story. You can get to read some more of the comments that we have there, plus add your own comments to it. Thank you very much for watching. That's it for the Bulletin. I'm Israel Lai. You have a good evening.